Ow. Hi, how are you doing today? So I have finally jumped on the bandwagon, guys, and got myself some Ohuhus. And I've actually gone all in and even got a cocowyo, if I'm saying that right, colouring book. Yes, I am actually going to give alcohol markers a second chance today. So you might have seen in previous videos that I haven't had much luck with alcohol markers in the past, but I thought maybe it was because I had been using a budget set of alcohol markers. And perhaps if I got myself the brand that everybody is going crazy for on TikTok, then maybe I'd do better. So I've actually been quite a busy bee this week. I have created my own colouring page that I want to try these out on today. Sneak peek, I'll show you that properly later. But first, I needed to get some practice with these. I also wanted to see if they would work on another material too. So I shall show you what I've been up to. So I'd got myself the set of 48 markers in the pastel range because a friend had seen me struggling with the darker colours of the other brand that I already had and recommended that I should get some pastels. They came with some swatch cards, a booklet, and actually a really handy plastic sheet that you can put in between your pages so that the ink doesn't bleed through. So I started off with filling out the swatch cards. And for some reason, it took me absolutely ages to find the corresponding numbers. Eventually, I decided to try and find the corresponding names of the colours instead. And that actually, for some reason, with my brain, just worked a lot faster. Now, since I don't have the best track record with alcohol markers, I wanted to start off by getting some practice. So I tried these out on a very basic title page. Now, another friend actually advised me to try and chase the ink, and I had absolutely no idea what that meant. So she very kindly sent me some videos showing me what that means. And it basically means that you need to kind of continuously colour along the same section without letting the ink dry, so that it kind of spreads along the page. And that kind of prevents that horrible streaky look that I was getting last time I tried these. And this page actually turned out really nicely. The only thing is, it did come out very pastel, but it was definitely a lot better than my last attempt with alcohol markers. Then I wanted to try the ones that I had before that I had had no luck with in the past, to see if it was the technique where I was going wrong rather than the pens themselves. So the brand of these is HANGFAN, and it's just the basic colour set that they do. And lo and behold, these actually turned out really nicely as well. So it was me that was the problem. But they did come out very dark and bold. So I figured that for optimal results on my next colouring page, I would be best off actually using both. So I chose to do this adorable page of a bear and some cats outside of a coffee shop. I found that the pastels were great for laying down the groundwork and for getting the basic colours down, but I think they would have been way too washed out without the darker colours giving them more depth. I didn't really notice a whole lot of difference between the two brands as I was using them. The only differences that I did notice was that the Ohuhus had a slightly smaller and kind of more scratchy nib, and they were a bit more comfortable to hold because they're a kind of rounded shape, where the HANGFANs are a very kind of blocky square shape. I think they were perhaps a slightly more accurate match for the colours on the lids to how they came out on the paper as well. I find that the HANGFANs come out a little bit darker than the lids indicate. But other than that, I didn't notice a great deal of difference. It might just be because I'm not an alcohol marker pro. Perhaps someone who uses these more often might be able to really see a significant difference. But I kind of forgot that I was using two different brands, to be honest. I was just choosing the colours that I needed. I really started to enjoy this when I started adding the shadows and trying to make it look a bit more 3D. And it was actually very therapeutic. I had some jazz music playing and a nice cup of tea. I mean, there was all chaos breaking loose in the house. The kids were off. It was a bank holiday Monday, so they were running riot. My husband was off as well, and he was demolishing our old bathroom. And I just escaped to the shed and peacefully did some nice colouring with my Ohuhus. But yeah, I think I finally get it now, why so many people are obsessed with this. Chase the ink, guys. Now, I also wanted to test these on another material, shrink plastic. I made a whole video about this stuff last week and had lots of fun using it. So I wanted to make a gift for my husband because it's our 11th wedding anniversary coming up this weekend. And I wanted to make him a keyring based on this piece of glass art by Joe Downs that we bought on our honeymoon in Cornwall. But I knew I wouldn't be able to do it with just the alcohol markers because they would probably just all blend into each other if I drew the fish and the water in the markers. So I drew the fish in POSCAs in the hope that they would kind of pop. Now I did make sure that I'd left the POSCAs to dry for quite a while, but I did find that the alcohol markers did slightly try to smudge them. So I had to be very careful not to go over them too many times. But I think that the alcohol markers actually worked really well for that kind of bubbly stained glass effect. I also decided to make myself some oceany earrings to match. And while I was making these, my mom was actually sat on the sofa behind me having a cup of tea, and she'd noticed the cherry blossom earrings on my shelf that I made last week, and she loved them so much that I decided to make her own pair. But I made these with POSCA and crayons, so they've actually got absolutely nothing to do with this video, but I thought I might as well do it while I'm putting all the other things in the oven. And at one point, the fish keyring actually kind of turned into a dish, and Joe Downs actually sells those as well, and we've got a couple of those. I wonder if you took it out at that point, if you'd be left with like a cute little dish. So I just gave them a quick coat of Mod Podge, let that dry, put on some SCULPOT to make it shiny, put in the earring hooks and the keyring chain, and voila, they were done. I really love how the keyring came out actually. Hopefully Elliot will like it. I did find that the earrings turned out a little bit too dark. I was kind of hoping that they'd look a bit more pastel, but I kind of forgot how much the colour can actually intensify when it's shrunk down, but I still like them. The only thing is, I have seen a few things saying about how alcohol markers can actually fade over time. I'm not sure if that still applies if it's sealed onto plastic with Mod Podge and SCULPOT, but I guess it depends if they're sat in the sunshine or not, but it might be something to bear in mind if you're giving them as a gift. Anyway, back to the colouring page. So since I have a background in illustration, Luna the Space Leopard 1 and 2 available on Amazon, guys. It's worth a try. I was of course compelled to create my own colouring page. I do really love the simple style of the cocowyo colouring books, and I really love the concept of a cosy corner. I have to say I was expecting more of the kind of corner shaped pages in here, but there aren't actually that many technically corners. So that's a corner one. Oh, actually that looks like an art room. Just noticed that. But yeah, most of them seem to be just kind of settings rather than corners. But I really like the corner thing. So I wanted to create my own cozy corner. So I thought to myself, well, where do I find the most cozy and peaceful place to be? And of course, it had to be the art shed. So I attempted to draw this space in this kind of style, and I got a time lapse of it. So I shall show you that now. So yes, here it is. I'm really pleased with this actually. I think maybe it did come out a little bit more detailed than the cocowyo style. They seem to actually have a much thicker line weight, and I mean, some of them are a bit more detailed than others. There's quite a lot going on in that one and that one. Mine actually reminds me a little bit of Nick Sharrat illustrations, like Tracy Beaker. I think I've sort of created something somewhere in between. I'd say it probably took about 4 or 5 hours to draw this. I was really struggling with the perspective because I've never really learned how to do that. That's something maybe for another video. And I just kept thinking to myself, why am I doing this? Now, for some reason, when I was drawing this, I thought that I had 3 shelves either side, when there's clearly only 2. And I was literally sat there drawing it, looking at my stuff. I think that's because you know how you have one side of your brain for logic and one side for creativity? I think it's just entirely creative side at this point. There's no room for counting things. Something I did notice is that this bunting and the windows slightly looks like a face, like a toothy grin. that's where I put my bunting. I made sure to include kitty corn for my intro. Over here we've got some Moriah merch. We've got Pickle, Eustace and Cupie. And I have actually got Lemon and Flob. Flobby? Flob. Who's this? Flobby? Hang on, I'm gonna have to Google this. It's Flobby. I don't know why that just escaped my brain for a second. I know it's because she's a flower blob flop. When I made that in the Easter clay video, I thought, oh, it looks so cute next to Lemon. She's got a little friend. Well, she already had one, she's got two. I digress. I also included the pansies that my kids got me for Mother's Day that I drew in the Create This Book video. There's my plants, but they've had a massive growth spurt. They're like taller than me now in this. Of course, my cup of tea. I'm wearing some very fashionable Crocs and socks. And last but not least, I had to include the pigeon that features throughout the Luna the Space Leopard books in the background, but she's just in a slightly more kawaii style there. So my husband very kindly printed me several sheets, so if it goes wrong, I can try again. Now, there are a few light sources in this, and I've seen some cool stuff on TikTok where people have managed to capture the light kind of streaming through, and that does happen in the shed, as you can see right there. So I'm gonna try and attempt that today, but I'm not really sure. I probably should have watched some videos of how people actually approach that, but I'm just gonna wing it. And I'm gonna try drawing the shadows first. That might be a mistake. Where am I going? I've got a ruler and a pencil, and I'm gonna imagine that the sunlight is coming from this very corner. Oh, the caffeine. Okay. I can't hold my ruler straight. I made that coffee too strong. She says while drinking more tea. I'm gonna have some dried mango. Do you want some? So I'm gonna use this. So I'm gonna use this ruler to kind of define where the light shines. I don't know if that's how it really works. Is that how light works? Like if the light is coming down here and then hitting this point, would it come across like that? I don't know why I'm looking here because this room is completely different layout to what this room really is. Because my windows and this wall are actually on opposite sides of the shed. So I'm just going to do it very lightly because I don't want to What was I saying? Oh yeah, because I want to be able to erase it afterwards. I mean, obviously it would hit, there's certain points where it would hit and it would stop, like it would hit this easel and it would stop. Okay, so I think that's how our beams of light would be coming through the window or through the eyes. And there would also be a beam of light coming from this lamp. So I was thinking of using the Ohuhus. I don't know why it sounds so weird when I say it. Everyone else sounds really trendy when they say it. A neutral grey. Let's just test that first. So I've got some leftover strips of printer paper here. So I'm just gonna check what that colour looks like on here. Okay. Eek. So I'm gonna colour in everything that isn't in the light beam in a very subtle grey, in the hope that it gives us a light beam. So I'm going to follow that advice to chase the ink. So it works quite well to kind of plan out which direction you're going to take the ink in before you start colouring. So I'm going to start from here and then I'm going to have to split off here and go down. So I'm going to have to keep alternating when it splits off from one to the other so it doesn't get a chance to dry. You almost want to imagine it as like, sounds kind of gross, but like bacteria spreading. It would just keep going. I'll show you what I mean. So this is where it's going to get tricky because I'm going to have to split off into two different directions. But if I just stopped and went down here, this edge here would dry out. So I cannot let that happen. I've just got to keep the grey expanding. So I go up here, back down there, back up here, back down there. Now, because there's the bunting there, I can actually use that as an opportunity to stop in that direction. And this has honestly been the best advice that I have had on using these, because I don't know. I mean, I've watched quite a few colouring videos on TikTok and stuff, but I haven't seen anything about that. I don't know if people are gatekeeping that information so that their colouring is better than everyone else's. Like a magician, trade secrets, and I've just revealed the trick. I think it might be slightly bleeding here. It's gone slightly over the line. And I can kind of see now why the line work is so bold on the cocowyo colouring books, because as you can see, I'm pretty sure I was only just going up to that edge, but it has bled across. So perhaps if the line was thicker, you wouldn't notice that. The fact that I've drawn this very thinly might pose an issue. Okay, so I have finished with the colouring page. Oh wow, it looks quite cool from the back as well. Actually, the colours some reason look like brighter on the back. It's quite grey on the front. I'm quite pleased with how that came out. I think it's definitely an improvement since my last attempt at alcohol markers. The only thing is I couldn't remove the pencil lines. Well, it seems that once you've put alcohol marker over pencil, it sort of locks it in. So that's just something to be cautious of if you want to do that kind of light streaming technique. It's maybe come out a little bit grey, but I did do that layer of grey kind of shading underneath, so it could be that. Although I didn't do that with this one, and that also came out quite grey. So I think that the OHUHU pastels are actually slightly on the kind of greyish side. I found that you have to layer them quite a few times to really get a bit more colour out of them. But I definitely did need the HANGFAN standard colour set just to add the depth in a few areas, mainly on the greenery, I guess. I think that was pretty much, might have been the only place that I really used those. I think a little bit along on the wood of the outside of the shed. I think using the white gel pen really helped it pop as well, because before that point it was looking kind of lifeless. I did see something on TikTok saying that they keep their pen in their bra before they use it to warm it up, because I think the gel flows better when it's warmer. Just something to bear in mind. But yeah, I think it captures the essence of the art shed. I mean, normally I have the light on, but I guess if the ceiling's missing, then so is the light. Oh yeah, there was something I forgot to mention about my picture. I don't know what you call that, like the little footstool thing that I've got over there. Obviously that's kind of cream. I used pale cream and deep cream because they look about the right colour, don't they? But they came out almost, I'd say, dark beige to tan, and it just looked like it was made out of leather or something. So I took one of the other sheets and cut out the footstool and stuck it over. So you can actually see through there, look, see how dark it was. That's how dark it was. So it looks like it's leather or something. But stuck a new one on. Print a few copies, and if something goes wrong, just cut it out and stick it over. So, but other than that, I'd say most of the colours are a pretty good match for the lids, but it's just those ones that I noticed. So how do they compare to the more affordable brand? I mean, obviously for a more accurate comparison, I could have done with both being the pastel sets. But I would say that actually, once I was using them correctly, these ones did absolutely fine. So I would recommend both. I do prefer the way that these sort of look and feel. They are better quality, but these are okay as well. So if these are out of budget, these are fine, in my opinion. And I might as well review the colouring book while I'm here as well. So I did actually notice that it's published by Penguin. So I think the combination of that and also that the illustrations are beautiful is probably part of the reason why they've been so successful and why they're such a bestseller. So obviously if you've got one of the world's biggest publishers behind it, then they're going to make sure that it's well advertised and that it's the highest quality that it can be for the lowest price because it's mass produced. And I would say that they are really good quality. Like if you think of, you know, the colouring books when you were a kid and they had that weird kind of greyish kind of rough paper inside. If I compare it to like the office paper, I would say that it is probably about twice the thickness. And yeah, the illustrations are beautiful and also just the style is so consistent. I don't know if they're all one artist or numerous artists, but the style is really consistent throughout. And they look very simple, but actually once, if you add all the detail, they actually become quite like a detailed image. They're usually $7.99 in the UK and I got it for, I think it was like $4.99 or something. And I mean, I think that's a bargain really, the quality. Now I did actually email this illustration to a fellow creator called MadeWithLuvvv, and she actually coloured in the llamas in a previous video. I think it was maybe in the POSCA video, and she'd used the alcohol markers, and she's actually the one that advised me to chase the ink. So thank you. But yes, I'd emailed her the illustration and I've just had an email back from her, and she has coloured it in and she has done it digitally this time. And I think it's really cute what she's done with it. I love the like strong pinks and purples. They really remind me of, I think it was called Groovy Chick in the 90s. Groovy Chick was recently spotted again in the shops. I'm sure I saw somebody post that. So it's kind of come back around. It kind of, yeah, it looks like a cartoon that you would have watched on TV in the 90s. Oh, I'm just zooming in as well. Oh, she's given me like a flowery shirt as well. How cute is that? Kind of matches the flower cushion. She must have recognised that that's Pickle as well. She's painted Pickle, Pickle green. Kewpie, she's drawn more as regular Kewpie, but I've got chocolate Kewpie. So check her channel out, guys. I shall link it down below, and I will put this colouring page on the community post section if you would like to colour it in. If you've enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to hit that like, share or subscribe. And let me know if there are any, why is that so hard to say? Let me know if there are any topics that you particularly enjoy watching, whether it's clay, testing art supplies. I still haven't completely decided what to do next week, so open to suggestions. So I shall see you next week. Ta-ta for now.